So I thought it was about time, since we're coming towards the end of the year, I did a quick update on my fleet, so to speak. First things first, I've had the Renault now for a month-ish, maybe a month and a week, something like that. It's done just over 5,000, and I thought it was about time I checked the infotainment system was up to date, which it's not. So currently downloading the updates, a Coyote update, a map update, and a user profile update. So when they're finished, I will get them installed. So with the USB stick inserted, we have the map update underway. It could take up to 35 minutes apparently, and the engine has to remain running with the R-Link 2 system turned on. Although we're sort of nearly halfway through, so it might not take anywhere near as long as it said. Equally, straightening steering wheel. Equally, there are two other small updates that were downloaded, which I assume will be updated after the map, but we will have to wait and see. But as you can see here, I've done just over 5,000 miles. I've had the thing 4 or 5 weeks. But I'll probably give it a little bit longer before I do a review. Maybe I'll let it get to 10,000 miles before I do a sort of second look at how I feel about the car and what I think of it. Well, we're almost there with the map. As we can see, we're just a tiny little bit. Oh, there we go. Map update is finished. Do you want to delete the update files from the update media? Let's just go with OK for that. Let it twiddle around and twiddle and twiddle and twiddly-dee, twiddly-dee, twiddly-dee. Still twiddling. Still twiddling. Radio 2's playing Judy Teen by Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel, apparently. Although for copyright reasons, you can't hear it. We're still twiddling. I'll bring you back when it stopped twiddle. No, oh. Spoke too soon. Oh, there we go. Look, we have a map. I thought I'd let you look at my gorgeous face briefly. Someone did say the other day that they were looking at a work ID which was photographed before all this was there, and they said, oh, definitely look better with the beard. I just sort of thought to myself, so effectively what they're saying is I look better when most of my face is covered. But anyway, that's totally irrelevant. The Corvette, I'm not really too worried about at the moment. I'll do a bit of paint work when obviously the weather is better. It's the wrong time of year to be doing any paint. I need a slightly warmer, milder, dry day. So that will get done in the new year. The Corvette, as you can see, part of the reason it's off the road is because I've had some stuff polished. So you can, I mean, these have now been sat in here for a little while, so they've dulled down a little bit. But obviously I've had my valve covers polished. You already know the wheels were polished. how shiny them wheels are. While the car wizard has taken a ride in my car, look at this lovely Skylark. Oh. And the covers that go across the sills, I believe Americans call them rocker panels, pardon me, have also been polished. I'm just waiting for some gaskets for these and a replacement PCV, something like that. Grommet. Pressure control for PCV, I think that's right. Yeah, anyway, I'm waiting for a grommet. Then these can go back on. Battery to go back on the Land Rover, which hasn't been touched for weeks, and we'll show you the problem in a second. Next thing on the Land Rover list is this intercooler hose. As you can see, it's all collapsing and isn't helping, so let's replace it. Alright, so there it is, that's one end on. Let's do up this last end here. Difficult to do one-handed. I'll do that off camera. And we have a nice new non-collapsed intercooler hose. What I've also done off camera is replaced the air filter. As you can tell from all this though, being a cheap air filter, this top plate really doesn't fit nicely against this. So I had to sort of hammer the edges down a little bit to get a bit of a seal. Not ideal. Here you can see the top plate on the old one. There's a lot nicer fit, a lot better quality. Although he did have a lovely big dragonfly, I think, attached to it. My finger. But yeah, as you can see, it really did need replacing. Rest of the servicing to do next. Well, as you can tell, we're back with the Land Rover. And today's jobs, give it an oil change, probably fuel filter, but mainly replace this very, very leaky steering box. Now I'm hoping the fact all the bolts are absolutely covered in oil, they should be nice and easy to get off. So, step one, let's give it a go. Well, things really aren't going to plan. As you can see, I've got those off. 3 of the bolts on the side, not that you can really see there. 3 of the bolts on the side loose, but the top left hand one, I just cannot get a socket onto it. There's not enough space, and I haven't got a shallow enough socket. And and I just can't get my hand in there well enough to get a spanner on and get any leverage on the spanner. Couple that with, I don't know if you can see, but it's now pissing it down. The weather report this morning said it was going to be sunshine, otherwise I wouldn't have even started the job. But no, it is now absolutely pissing it down. So I've retreated into the garage. Unicycle, G-wheel, Sinclair, James, pit bike, couple of engines, another Sinclair, you know the garage. And hope it doesn't last long. I think the steering box, I'm just going to have to tighten the bolts back up again. In fact, I am just going to put the bonnet down a bit just to shield it to a degree. And just do this window up.
I'll try to get out for a nice long walk along the promenade and see my mum and dad at some point this afternoon.
There we go. And retreat back into the garage. So, when it stops raining, I shall bolt the steering box back up, put the pipes back on and top the fluid up, and that's just going to have to wait, and I will have to get the car wizards to do that, as I just do not have suitable tools. If that bolt had come off as easy as the others, it would have been fine, but I just worry using the wrong tools in a confined space, I'm just going to end up rounding the head off, and then it's going to be even worse because it's just in a ridiculous place. You just got the inner wing in the way. I've bent the inner wing back as far as I could to try and get a socket on, and you just can't do it. So I think let's put a kibosh on that for today, and that's going to be a job for the car wizard when he does the cam belt, which has just brought that forward because while the cam belt could wait a little bit, that steering box really is pissing oil out, so it does need replacing sooner rather than later. But hopefully, if this eases off in a hurry, at least I can do the oil change. He says, watch this space. Right, so that's all the bolts in it back up, pipes reinstated, and ATF filled up. So I think we'll deal with the oil change now. Nothing can go wrong with an oil change, surely. But then this is a Land Rover, who knows. Right, there's the oil drainer. Some of it even went in the catch can. Most of it went on the floor and over me, but some of it went in the catch can. Oh well. Lovely black, horrible stuff. Obviously hasn't been done in a while. So I'll just leave that for a few minutes to drain out. I've taken the filler cap off just to make sure there's no sort of vacuum or anything holding any in. And then we'll get the oil filter off. But I want to put the sump plug back in so I can put the catch can under the oil filter and at least attempt to catch whatever comes out of there. So that's next. Right, that will teach me to open my big mouth. When I said, well, at least an oil change will be nice and simple, it's not. The oil filter won't come off, and all my oil filter removal tool is doing is denting it. Therefore, I don't do the old-fashioned method of sticking a hammer and a screwdriver through it and using that. A, because it's very difficult to even get a screwdriver in there. It's at such a epoxy angle with fuel pipes all round it. But also, once I've done that, if it won't come off, I really am screwed. At least at the moment, I didn't want to do that because it's basically a waste of oil. But I can put oil in it and still drive it. Bugger. Unfortunately, I can't get hold of my mechanic, who might have a better, oh pardon me, better oil removal tool than the chain type that I've got. Bugger. Well, at least one thing's gone right. I fitted a new fuel filter, primed it, done up the bleed screw, so that went okay. One thing's gone okay. Bloody Land Rover. Unfortunately, my mechanic's not going to be around for another 4 or 5 hours, and I'm certainly not sitting here that long, so it does unfortunately look like I'm just going to have to fill it up with oil with the old oil filter, which is not ideal. So there we go, some lovely clean oil on there. Won't be clean for long because obviously still got the old filter on there. Power steering pump is still leaking. Some fantastic wiring on the alternator there, which one day I'll get around to. Some diesel out of the old fuel filter. New fuel filter. Old fuel filter. Rather a lot of mess. Clean up time, I think. So, will she fire up? I obviously primed the fuel filter well enough. Right, see if we've got any leaks. I punctured a hole in the fuel filter, which is good. Those unions appear to have sealed again, which is good. No leaking fuel. That's about the same as it always has been. So, I think we're okay. Good. And the Land Rover, I will attempt to show you when I get home if it's not too dark. It hasn't been touched for a while. Between MOT running out, extremely hectic at work. It hasn't been touched, and it has got a bit damp. And things are growing, so I need to put the battery back on it. I have put a load of cat litter all inside the vehicle in various trays to try and remove some of said damp. But yeah, we'll try and get rid of some of the damp, get rid of the mould, put the battery back on it, and then pass it on to my car wizard, Mr. Kendall, to get it through an MOT. Yeah. So as you can see, as I was talking about earlier, we've got a bit of growth inside my Land Rover, which I'm now touching. I've got some cat litter and some dehumidifying egg things sat in here, just trying to get rid of some of the damp. Unfortunately, it's not doing quite enough of a job. So yeah, I think what some of the problem is I've picked the wrong side of the vehicle. As you can see, this windscreen rubber is past its best, and I think that's where the water ingress is coming from. You can tell it hasn't been used for a while. So once I've got it all dried out, I'll have to address that. And looking at the colour of them, it's gone pink on those eggs, so they need taking in and sticking in the microwave. So yes, when I get a day off, this is my job, is to demould my vehicle. Put the battery back on and let it run for a while with the heaters on, and I might even move it round nearer my flat, run the extension lead out and stick a big house dehumidifier in there, or in here rather, and see if that will help. So yeah, that's that. The other thing I was going to show you, following on from earlier, is, if you can now see, there is a nice new oil filter on down there. What I ended up having to do, because that oil filter would not budge, and I've just noticed I've not plugged the oil pressure switch back in. I'll find the wire for that in a minute and do that. I end up having to remove this entire oil filter housing. Still couldn't get the oil filter off. Eventually I had to take it down to the car wizard, who put the filter in his press and managed to crush the filter enough to crush it to deform it enough to allow the seal to separate from the aluminium housing it screws onto. And even then we ended up hell of a job getting the filter off. I don't know who had put it on or how long it had been on, but it did not want to move. But regardless, it has now got a fresh fuel filter in it, fresh oil filter in it rather. It has got a fresh fuel filter, but a fresh oil filter in it, and again some new oil, so that should be good to go. So yeah, that's sort of the fleet update. G-Wheel's been sold. I never did actually get around to doing the video on it, but yeah, probably for the best. That's been sold. The pit bike I just need to finish off, and then I'll probably flog that. The James I'm still in two minds about. The sensible side of me says just free off the engine, get it sold. The slightly less sensible side of me thinks maybe not. But anyway, I'll end that for now. Just a very brief update. As I said, I will do a more extensive review of the Megane in another month or so, when it's up at sort of 10,000 miles, and by which point hopefully a lot of the other stuff should be at least moving forward, if not fully sorted. Oh, Harley Davidson, very nice. So yeah, I'll leave it for now. If you want to see more deranged ramblings of an elderly fat bloke, or you're just here for the cars, then please like, subscribe, share, do something. No Hilux. Wonderful. And yeah, I'll see you in another video. Ta-da!